If you have been suffering from sneezing, sniffling, and the like over the past month or two, it may not be a cold, it might actually be the notorious cedar fever. That's because of pollen from an eastern red cedar tree, which actually happens to be a juniper like the one we see behind me here. Now, here's what happens and why this is an issue. We don't often associate pollen in the winter months, but starting in January into February, an abundance of those trees in Texas begins to release the pollen from those trees, and on a south wind day, it gets brought up here to the state of Oklahoma, where we start to deal with that in our air, and those suffering from that allergy really know that. Now, this is something that we'll see especially on a dry, windy day, especially by this point of year, from any wind direction, and the pollen tends to be in greatest amounts following a big temperature fluctuation when we tend to get a bigger release of that pollen. Now, the season for cedar pollen is unusual. It's January to March, so it's the time of year we're also dealing with a lot of colds and flus and the like. And this is the time of year where we're still dealing with it even the month of March, though it's the tail end. Today is the kind of day we get a lot of that pollen to fill the air. And according to the Allergy Clinic of Tulsa, we are in the high category today. So it's one of those days many of us might be reaching for the tissues. Now, if you do suffer from this type of allergy, we will have a link to the Oklahoma Clinic of Allergies that will have more on the symptoms and treatments. You can find that in the web version of this story on fox23.com. But of course, as we move forward from now, we start to see the cedar pollen falling off and the traditional spring tree pollen season kicking off. With the warmer weather, the trees budding out, we see that pollen going up in a big way as we move from this month, peaking into the month of April. So needless to say, it's the time of year many of us will be reaching for those tissues, and we'll bring you those latest allergy reports daily on Fox 23. Back to you.